Squirrels! So hello, and welcome to another Legends of Runeterra video, the second of a potential 3 today, and this one is going to tackle the patch notes. It's 1 minute until the new patch notes, and so I'm pretty much just going to sit here and press refresh, and then we're going to quickly go through them, because the second half of England-Germany is about to start, and I need to watch it, because it's tense. 0-0 as I speak. You'll probably know what the score was by the time I'm done. But yeah, let's just keep hitting refresh and then see these patch notes. Okay, in we go. Patch 2.11. Let's see these changes, shall we? I am going to, skip all the keyword new stuff. Like, obviously, we know that. And here we go. So, here are the changes. Champions, we have Misfortune gaining back Overwhelm. This is an odd one. This is a bit of an odd one because I don't think anyone had a problem with Misfortune losing Overwhelm. It's not a massive change. It's not going to change so much, but it makes Misfortune that tiny bit better. And I don't think most people had that problem with it, but it's quite interesting. So, really quite interesting there. Misfortune gets Overwhelm. Slightly better. Good. Jarvan. Allies have survived 4 to allies have survived 3 times, so it's easier to level up Jarvan. I think this is a very good change. I like these sort of they've improved Jarvan with a 1/1 buff, and that was a pretty big buff, but it still wasn't probably quite enough. I like that, this is just going even that tiny bit further, and now with a champion like Jarvan, now after you've given him a big buff, you can probably just start doing these little small increment buffs and seeing if that becomes enough. And, it keeps Jarvan in people's minds. Oh, Jarvan got a buff. Yeah, let's try Jarvan. So I kind of like that as well. Good change. Tryndamere. Only had Overwhelm and Fearsome, so he's gaining Tough on his level 2. I'm pretty sure that's what the original was. And so I really like that. It says level 2 here. Not sure if that counts for the level 1 as well. I would guess so because it's mentioning the Fearsome, which he doesn't have on his level 1. So I think this will be level 2. Good change again. Similar to sort of the Jarvan thing where it's it just gets people thinking about Tryndamere. Very small, of course, but I like the change. Karma goes to 5 mana. Terrible change. Hate it. Did not like that at all. I know a lot of people called for this, but it's just not. It's not fun. You don't want an elusive meta. You don't want this. I know some of you think you do, but maybe you've either forgotten what Karma was like, or haven't played against Karma and so would like to see Karma be good. But you actually don't want this, and you'll maybe soon find out why. If Karma Ezreal or something like that starts dominating again, especially with even more spells in the game now, yeah, this is gonna be rough. This is gonna be rough. Buckle in. Hopefully there are things that are too good for Karma that makes the game still fun, but yeah, if Karma is top of the meta and everyone starts complaining, I'm just gonna sit here and say I told you so. But yeah, here we go. For those 5 people who like playing Karma, this will be nice for you. Aurelia changes to 14 allies of attack to level up as well. So I mean that is probably the difference of a turn, I would say, most likely. So another good change. Again, I like these small nerfs. I expected them to have small nerfs like that. Riven as well. When you gain the attack frequency. So I think this is changing to This is changing to if you have the attack token already and play Riven, then you get a blade as well, and then we'll get one at turn 5. I think that was always a bit of a weird thing that she kind of didn't. It's kind of one of those again, small buffs. I don't think Riven would needed anything major. I think Riven is actually pretty okay as she is, and this is the kind of small thing that I think could potentially make Riven pretty good indeed. So I'm liking most of these changes. The only one I don't like is Karma. Heimerdinger goes to a 2/4 in base stats. Again, another thing that I think a lot of people called for, and I don't really have too much to say about it, other than this is a very good change, obviously. Really nice just to see Heimerdinger be potentially better. And Hecarim as well. Okay, another one where, yeah, I'm all for it. Let's get Hecarim back. 6 health again on Hecarim. Actually very significant. This is one of those buffs that I think will probably go, under the radar a bit. But for a card like Hecarim, it's very important because you have to attack. And the thing is, if Hecarim doesn't survive that attack, then it feels bad. But if Hecarim gets to attack twice, at that point, the second attack, you've probably leveled up Hecarim as well. That can be a pretty big threat. So I really love that change. Great change as well. And I think the ephemeral archetype as a whole is still missing things, but I like the change 100%. A nerf to Azir to you summon 13 units, another great change, and I think that this is a great change for one specific reason, because this doesn't necessarily nerf Azir like that much. It nerfs him particularly in Blade Dance, but other decks that kind of, say you wanted to play like a new one attack deck, with the new landmark that came out in Bilgewater. If you want to play a deck like that, and you're like, well, the Sand Soldiers are still really good for that deck, you could still fit Azir in that deck because he's still going to summon the Sand Soldier, right? But you're not going to be attacking like the Blade Dance archetype did, so it's not going to affect you that much because you probably weren't leveling Azir up that much. But in the Blade Dance deck, this is going to impact them pretty significantly, so I really love that change as well. Great change. So another one. Nasus, level 1 doesn't have Fearsome. That's an interesting change. I like it. Again, just small little, I like all these minor changes that they're doing. I think when you have so many little minor changes, sure, some things won't actually change. But it has the potential, it gives you time to sort of just see. This is the kind of thing that I was shocked, like, why weren't they doing this all the time? Like, it's so easy to do, you don't even necessarily need to play test this taking Nasus's Fearsome off his level 1. You don't even really need to play test that. It's not going to break the card, is it? It's not going to completely change the card to where it's just either completely unplayable or, really good. It's such a small change that not that much is going to change, but it's nice. Sivir's level up comes down as well. I think that's good because I think a lot of people looked at Sivir and thought, oh, this is a really good card. And I think Sivir is okay, but I like this change as well. Should be a lot more doable. I've often found myself weirdly with Sivir, like I can remember a lot of times like having like 32 damage and feeling like, oh god, like 3 off and now my Sivir's gonna die. I feel like I've had that a lot, but I really like that change as well. These are all so great. The changing to Leah's level up to attack, deal 2 to my blocker 3 times. If instead of going deal 2 to the enemy nexus instead. Oh, so it's just landmark or no landmark. I like that. Because of course, if you've gone for a countdown version of a deck and you don't have landmarks necessarily there, it kind of doesn't make sense. You've played a lot of landmarks, you're in a landmark deck, but if you've played a countdown landmark that might not be there, why should you be punished for it? Love that change as well. There are so many changes here. This is just the champions. Taric goes to a 3/5. Ooh, that is spicy because, of course, he gets top as well, so nothing is going to kill him. There was some things in the game, like, there's quite a few 5/3s in the game all of a sudden, which could have killed Taric. And I think that's probably why they've done this, as they've, sort of, particularly in Shurima in my mind, there's 2 5/3s that I can think of, and they've probably thought, well, we don't want just, like, random 4-cost followers, like, killing Taric. Because that's really feels bad. So I can understand why they did this. And this is the kind of change, again, like, this extra health stat, like I said with Hecarim, I think that'll be underrated, but with Taric, I think that won't be underrated because I think most people will recognize this is probably pretty good. And there's probably some nasty Taric deck potentially coming along, because if Taric can live reliably, which with this stat line he should be able to, we should be pretty good. Aphelios goes back to a 3/3, the good change. Another one, don't believe people when they say the moon weapon should go back to 2 mana. They shouldn't. I'm not against buffing some of the moon weapons themselves, but they shouldn't go back to 2 mana because unless they change them again and completely nerf them, because that would be insane. Why should you have a 2 mana better Thermo Beam? Only in situations when you know it's going to be good. Like, yeah, no wonder Aphelios was completely insanely busted. Like, how could they not see that? It's kind of crazy that they didn't see that initially. But again, good change. Love it. Make It Rain does go to 2 mana. So 2 buffs to Misfortune, if you think about it. So Misfortune is going to be pretty good again. And, I said that I didn't necessarily like this change. And I still really don't, if I'm being honest. Because I think that Make It Rain, unlike a lot of other cards, has the potential to just make games non-games. If you play a really aggressive deck with a lot of 1 health followers, which you might want to, if you come up against Make It Rain, well, you've lost. And then you can base, anytime you see Make It Rain, you could pretty much just surrender straight away, and I don't think that creates good gameplay. I understand people wanted Bilgewater to get good cards again, which I'm not against. I agree completely. But Make It Rain's problem was that it is an oppressive card to certain decks. And anytime you have an oppressive card, that is a problem, and that should be changed. and now we're coming back. Now maybe it won't be as big as a problem as it was, because it was a pretty significant problem back in the past. Maybe now we've kind of gone past that, and there's enough other options for you out there to play different things. But I still feel like any card that is oppressive in any way should not exist in its current form, and you could find better things to do. That's just my opinion. Black Market Merchant goes to a 2/2. Similar kind of thing. I don't know why they've chosen to buff, like, revert old things rather than trying to create new things. Maybe because they understand the balance of the game better with these old things, so it's less work. But again, Black Market Merchant isn't a fun card to play against. I'm just going to put it out there. And, perhaps people have forgotten that, but then they will soon realize that again and, not like Black Market Merchant all of a sudden again. And so I just think you're creating a situation where you end up, oh, we nerf this card, then we'll buff it, and then we'll end up potentially nerfing it again, because guess what? People still won't like that card, because it can get very obnoxious very quickly. But I don't hate this one as much as Make It Rain. I know a lot of you will disagree with me on Make It Rain. This one I'm not too crazy about, because I still don't think that it's crazy. I just think that this now becomes a pretty good card that people won't enjoy playing against. Make It Rain, I just think can be slightly oppressive and therefore shouldn't exist. Double Up goes to 5 mana. Really nice. I would have potentially tweaked the numbers. Couldn't you have made this 3 to an enemy, 3 to the Nexus, something like that? Keep the overall at 6. We'll see what this does. I don't think it'll do much. It is meant to be a keg card, and I can understand that, but I still think 5 mana, it's just so risky. If you lose that keg and you don't get the kill, it's just, so risky that we'll see. We'll see. It's the kind of card that I think I'd love if it was a bit better, but we'll see. We'll see with that. Slotbot. What's happening to Slotbot? They love changing this card. Unsummon and round start, so you get it on the first one as well. That's quite... Slotbot could be pretty good then, I think. He's always going to be not, amazing because of the randomness. Is going to create some problems for you. But, if you imagine that, if this happened, when TF Fizz was a thing, and how many cards that deck drew in a turn, I think Slotbot would have got in there with this stat line. Confront goes to 2 mana, grant an ally challenger. That is a strong card now. 2 mana? This is a big change. Burst speed, something that's on board that you can... I'm gonna have to think about what the best thing to do this on is. But they just buffed Taric. You could do this with Taric. That's a good point. There's obviously a Taric. Don't know if necessarily be Fiora, but a Taric Demacia deck with the rally, with the barrier rally, with Confront now as well. That seems pretty good. Mage Seekers, I like that they're changing these as well. Becomes a 4/4. Not too big of an impact, but nice to see. And Bladekeeper becomes a 3/3. Now, that is something that could see play, because I think as a 3/3, this card is actually pretty good. So Demacia getting some nice buffs. Howling Abyss goes down to 6. Love to see it. Again, don't think it's too random to really see play, I think. But in certain decks, it'll be fun to pull out. Shadowblade goes to a 4/3. Probably not that big of a deal. Loses the Attune, the Dancing Droplet. Great change, I think, overall. Because it was a bit obnoxious that you essentially weren't losing mana for it. But, yeah, good change. Just a good change overall, I think. Green Gate Lookout goes to a 2/2. Again, nice change. Not sure it'll change too much. Young Witch goes to a 1/2. Love that change. Will of Ionia goes back to 4 mana. Well, this game, I guess, won't be fun then? I guess this game won't be fun. Karma at 5, Will at 4. I've seen this one before. It's not great. I'll be honest with you. I'm just gonna hope there's enough new things in the game that prove me wrong. That render this somewhat not that good. Twin Disciplines goes to 2 as well. This is another thing that a lot of people called for, which I was okay with. I think my problem with this is, though, that this is really good at 2. I think that this is something that people misunderstood. They were like, why is Twin Disciplines 3 mana? Look at all the other combat tricks. And I always thought, well, Ionia clearly isn't meant to have that good of a combat trick. And maybe I'm wrong. Maybe that isn't how they design the region. If I am, then this makes more sense. But if Ionia's weakness is meant to be a bad combat tricks, well, this is a very good combat trick now. This is extremely flexible at 2 mana. Extremely good at 2 mana. So, yeah, you'll be seeing Twin Disciplines a lot now. Decisive Tactician to a 5/5, like it. City Breaker goes to a 1/5, love that change as well. This is always my kind of change. I kind of wish they'd make this less mana. I think that that's kind of a bigger problem for a card like this, but I like that they're at least buffing it. J goes to a 5/5, probably doesn't make a big deal. Henchman goes to a 5/4. I love this card, don't know why, but I really like that it's a 5/4 now. It actually becomes like a decent card that maybe you can create something with. You know, there might be some kind of like, you know, there's quite a few like keyword granting effects all of a sudden like in the game, and so, and within Piltover and Zone as well, of course. So like that could be interesting. I might have to train. Whoa. Rummage goes to 2 mana? That is crazy. I did say that I hope that they nerfed the Draven Ezreal deck. I was personally kind of hoping they'd nerf Draven because I feel like Draven was kind of the problem. But they've nerfed Rummage and Tribeam. That could kill that deck, and I'm not kidding. Like, that could kill that deck pretty quick. That is this is a massive change. Now, P&Z did get Piltover and Zone. They did get the new Predict and Draw 1, and I guess that will just replace Rummage. But this is obviously a big hit to both discard aggro, which kind of needs this, and definitely Draven Ezreal. Tribeam obviously more for Draven Ezreal. Big changes. Those decks might not be that good. Watch it. Here we go. Cost 0 if you cost 5. 5 plus allies this game. Attack, obliterate all but 3 non-champion cards in the enemy deck. So that's dead. You can all be happy now. Rasa goes to an 8/6. They're still like a bit weird here. We're not sure if 7 mana is balanced. We'll wait. Dusk Rider to a 3/5. Escaped Abomination to a 4/2. Stalking Shadows to a 3 cost. I mean, like, these changes I'm just sort of glossing over because I don't think they'll matter that much. This is a pretty big change. I still think Ghost Keeper is a good card, but, you know, that will definitely affect that quite a lot. This is going to be a completely new game. The meta is going to be completely wide open. Stalking Shadows 3 cost, I actually kind of like. To have Glimpse and Stalking Shadows, it's kind of insane. I think that was pretty much carrying, like... Shadow Wall's pretty much on its own because those cards are just insane. So I like these changes as a whole. I mean, it's going to have massive impacts on the whole game. Clockhound and Raz, don't think these will make too much of a difference. They do change Doomkeeper to a 1/2, like that as well. Mountain Sojourners to a 4/5, like that. Again, not too impactful. Obviously, Doomkeeper will have an impact. And you won't see it as an auto-include. You'll still probably see it in like a Zia Dex, but not an auto-include. Sun Guardian to a 4/4. Oh, Starshade, I thought they changed the cost to 4, and I was like, what are they doing? Okay, Amount healed to 4, that's good. I like that change. Still a good card, but I like that it's a tiny enough. Serpent to a 1/1, love. Okay, I'm loving these changes. Yep, definitely love that. The Fangs to a 2/2, love that as well, and that is all of it. I can't think if there's something that, you know, like, something big that they've missed. Obviously, there are so many changes here that's really cool. I am worried about Karma and Ionia as a general, because when Ionia is good, the game tends to suck. So I am a bit worried about that, but hopefully some of these other changes look really exciting. So I'm very happy with that, and I'm going to go back to watching a football game. I'll see you next time.